It was supposed to be a night of lights, music, and magic. A Coldplay concert in Boston, sold out, buzzing with energy and soaked in emotion. But for Andy Byron, the CEO of a $1.3 billion tech company, and his chief people officer, Chris Tristan Cat, it was the beginning of a public unraveling neither of them could have prepared for. As Chris Martin's voice echoed through the stadium, a simple, playful moment turned into one of the internet's most viral disasters of 2025. Coldplay's signature kiss cam bit was supposed to be cute, just a fun interaction with the crowd. Nothing serious. But when the camera zoomed in on two very specific people in the audience, Byron and Kat, what the world saw wasn't just awkward, it was explosive. The two were caught in what can only be described as a very non-ologgy embrace. Fingers intertwined, arms linked, eyes locked, and then complete panic. Byron ducked out of frame. Kat buried her face. The audience erupted, and Chris Martin, trying to keep it light, dropped a line that would become immortalized in memes. Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy. That moment was captured by thousands of phones. Within hours, it had spread like wildfire, splashed across TikTok, Twitter or X, Reddit threads, YouTube reaction videos, and even fan-made merch. But this wasn't just about two people caught in an awkward situation. It became a digital feeding frenzy. One user joked, "The odds of your marriage ending at a Coldplay concert are low, but never zero." Another, "Coldplay's kiss cam just destroyed a $1.3 billion company." But that was only the beginning. Just as the video was peaking in virality, a screenshot of an alleged apology from Byron began making the rounds online. It looked polished, sincere, even poetic. He spoke of privacy violations and heartbreak, ending with Coldplay, "Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you." It was emotional, touching, almost too perfect, because it was fake. The statement wasn't from Byron. It was traced back to a parody account on X, someone claiming to be from CBS News. But no such employee existed. The account was satire. The apology was a hoax. But the internet didn't care. The damage was done. And it didn't stop there. Just days later, a second fake statement began circulating, this time supposedly from Byron again, saying he wasn't sorry for the moment, but just wished Coldplay would go back to making better albums. If the first apology was cringe, this one was comedy. Users on TikTok laughed even harder, with one person stitching the video to say, "He didn't just lose his marriage, he lost the plot." But while the internet was in full meltdown mode, one person's silence said more than words ever could. Megan Karayan, Byron's wife. Sharp-eyed social media users noticed she had quietly dropped Byron from her Facebook name. She was no longer Megan Byron, just Megan Karayan. Hours later, her entire account disappeared, gone. Instagram also deleted. And suddenly, what was once a joke to the masses took on a darker, very real tone. Support for Megan flooded the comment sections. Tweets and posts labeling her a class act. One post that gained over 100K likes read, "What a queen. Get the divorce lawyer and the bag." The internet had chosen its side. Behind the scenes, more details began to emerge. Andy Byron had been leading Astronomer, a high-profile data software company, since 2023. He wasn't just some random executive. He was known as a sharp strategist, a man who turned tech into gold. But now he was a meme, a scandal, a trending topic, the proud face of a PR disaster. Chris Tristan Cat, meanwhile, was no newbie to the tech world. A seasoned HR veteran from Silicon Valley, she had built her career on trust, leadership, and fostering positive work cultures. Ironically, she now found herself at the center of a workplace scandal, one involving the very values she was supposed to uphold. And while Byron was still married with 2 children, reports started surfacing that Kat had finalized a divorce in 2022. Nothing was officially confirmed, but the speculation machine had already kicked into overdrive. One TikTok summed it up in a line, "There's no reason to react like that on camera unless something's going on. Period." Another viral video questioned, "So, is she now going to have to lead a workplace misconduct meeting about herself?" But this wasn't just public scandal. It was internal reckoning. Suddenly, former Astronomer employees started coming out of the woodwork. Whisper networks turned into loud voices. Screenshots, subtweets, group chat leaks, allegations of toxic behavior by Byron started resurfacing. Old wounds were reopened. Some even said they were celebrating the scandal in private chats, with one ex-employee writing, "Karma's real. We've been warning people about him for years." For years, those complaints were brushed aside. Byron's leadership had always been seen as intense but effective. Now, that narrative was falling apart. Astronomers' social pages went radio silent. Their LinkedIn activity froze. And Byron's own LinkedIn deactivated. The company didn't issue any public statement. Neither did Byron or Kat. The silence, ironically, spoke volumes. Meanwhile, back at the concert, yes, the concert, Chris Martin slowly realized what had happened. Reports say he looked visibly uncomfortable as fans started whispering and videos were being shared before the encore even began. At one point, he nervously said into the mic, "Holy, I hope we didn't do something bad," but it was too late. The internet had already given it a name, Coldplaygate. The phrase took off instantly. Google searches for "astronomer CEO wife" surged. Hashtags like hashtag Coldplaygate and hashtag KissCamScandal trended for days. Even Elon Musk chimed in with a cryptic tweet, "Live by the algorithm, die by the algorithm." And that's exactly what happened. A 30-second kiss cam moment had set off a chain reaction that would shake up an entire tech company, ruin a marriage, and make two people the faces of corporate embarrassment on a global stage. The world watched in real time as a seemingly perfect executive life unraveled, not because of a leaked email, a whistleblower, or a financial report, but because of a camera, a crowd, and one very unfortunate zoom-in. Now, there are still no official updates, no confirmations, no statements. But astronomers' silence feels less like strategy and more like survival. As the dust settles, the internet is left with one burning question. Was it all just a misunderstanding? Or was Coldplay's kiss cam the most unexpected whistleblower in tech history? Because in 2025, your worst nightmare doesn't start with a board meeting. It starts with a stadium, a camera, and 60,000 people watching you get exposed in 4K. But beyond the memes and the scandalous speculations, what really shook the public was how fast a single public moment could obliterate a carefully curated executive image. In a world where CEOs are meticulously media-trained and corporations invest millions in reputation management, it took just 30 seconds, broadcast unintentionally in front of thousands, for Byron's entire persona to collapse under its own weight. Astronomer was once considered one of the darlings of the SaaS industry. A rising force in predictive analytics and data orchestration, it was known not only for its innovative platform, but for the cult of personality surrounding its leadership. Employees, the company culture behind the scenes told a very different story. Byron was frequently profiled in business magazines, touted as the visionary behind astronomers' rapid rise. Phrases like data whisperer and algorithmic genius were casually thrown around. But according to some, former staff began anonymously sharing their experiences on platforms like Blind and Reddit. Complaints ranged from long-standing allegations of a hostile work environment to tone-deaf corporate practices under Byron's leadership. "He micromanaged everything," wrote one user. "He loved control, loved optics. What he didn't love was being questioned." Another posted, "This is the same guy who once made us rehearse a product demo 19 times for a 10-minute client call, and now he's hiding under a stadium seat with his fingers locked in HRs." As these posts gained traction, media outlets began digging deeper. Old Glassdoor reviews were unearthed and reanalyzed. One particularly damning review from 2023 warned potential applicants that the company looked great from the outside, but was built on fear and burnout. Another review even hinted at inappropriate closeness between upper management long before the kiss cam moment. At the time, it was dismissed as bitter gossip. Now, it felt eerily prophetic. As the internal heat mounted, astronomers' investors reportedly held emergency meetings. No official comment was made, but sources close to the board suggested there was deep concern about leadership's ability to weather the storm. Meanwhile, competitors subtly capitalized on the scandal. Smaller startups in the same space posted veiled comments on social media about the importance of ethical leadership and clear boundaries at work, clearly throwing shade without naming names. And while all of this unfolded, one question kept surfacing over and over again. Why were they even sitting together? Most Coldplay concerts assign seating or VIP sections, especially for premium guests. Byron and Kat weren't just seated side by side, they were physically close in a way that suggested intentionality. Some speculated they arrived together. Others believed it was simply bad luck. But body language experts on TikTok had a field day analyzing the video frame by frame, pointing out eye contact patterns, subtle touches, and that now infamous jump and hide maneuver by Byron. The second he saw himself on screen, he panicked. One viral breakdown claimed, "That's not the reaction of a guy caught off guard. That's the reaction of someone who knew he was in trouble." But the implications went beyond marriage drama and corporate fallout. For many viewers, this was a painfully familiar story of power imbalance. A CEO, a subordinate, a questionable relationship dynamic. It triggered conversations about workplace ethics, especially in tech, where blurred lines and unchecked power have long been issues. Workplace consultants and HR professionals chimed in, noting that if there truly was a relationship between Byron and Kat, the power differential would make it problematic, especially given Kat's role as chief people officer. "When HR is involved in the scandal, it cuts deeper," said one LinkedIn commentator. She was supposed to protect the employees, not the CEO. Even more damning were the questions it raised about astronomers' internal accountability. Did anyone know? Were there whispers? Did anyone ever raise concerns and get ignored? If a workplace romance was unfolding right under the leadership team's nose, what else was being overlooked? A journalist from Business Insider ran a feature titled "From Data Science to Drama: When Tech Titans Forget the Cameras Always On." It questioned whether the pressure to build charismatic executive brands had encouraged narcissism and blurred ethical lines. The article ended with a quote that stuck with many readers: "When your brand is built on trust, one moment of betrayal can break everything." Meanwhile, parody accounts continued to post fake updates. One viral tweet claimed that Byron and Kat had fled the country together on a Coldplay-themed yacht. Another joked that Meghan was now being courted for a Netflix documentary titled Unkissed, the Coldplay Cam Confession. Humor became a coping mechanism for an internet that couldn't believe it was watching a real-life soap opera unfold in high resolution. Late-night shows also jumped on the scandal. A segment on The Tonight Show featured Jimmy Fallon pretending to be a nervous Chris Martin stuck in a loop of apology songs, while Saturday Night Live teased a sketch involving a Coldplay concert turned corporate tribunal. It was official. The scandal had transcended tech Twitter and entered full-blown pop culture. Through it all, astronomers' silence became its loudest statement. A few industry insiders claimed Byron had been placed on administrative leave pending internal review, but no one confirmed it. Kat's social media accounts remained locked. The company's official website removed Byron's biography, but left everything else untouched. And then came the rumors of a resignation. 1 week after the concert, a cryptic update was posted on an anonymous tech gossip blog. Astronomers' Board has reportedly accepted a leadership resignation, though it's unclear whether Byron stepped down or was pushed out. If true, it would mark a staggering fall from grace for a man who once claimed he wanted to be the Jeff Bezos of data. As the dust begins to settle, the internet seems to be slowly moving on. But the damage lingers. Trust once lost is hard to rebuild. For an astronomer, it may take years. For Byron, it may never happen. And for Meghan, the woman whose silence amplified everything, she's become a symbol of quiet dignity amidst chaos. There's an odd poetry to it all. Coldplay's song Fix You played just minutes after the infamous kiss cam moment. The lyrics, "When you try your best, but you don't succeed, when you get what you want, but not what you need," felt haunting in hindsight. Because in this strange, tangled tale of love, leadership, and live stream embarrassment, no one really got what they wanted. Not the fans who expected a night of music. Not the company expecting smooth sailing. Not the CEO who thought he could hide. And definitely not the woman who had to learn her marriage was over on a stadium screen in front of tens of thousands of strangers. So, what's the real takeaway from Coldplaygate? Maybe it's this: in the digital age, there are no private moments in public spaces. And when your brand, personal or professional, is built on image, all it takes is one unguarded second to bring the whole thing crashing down. Because sometimes, the camera doesn't just capture memories. It captures consequences.